The day the alien ships came to Busan, Park Tae-ho was fixing an old car engine in his small garage. He heard the screams first, then the shadows fell over the city like a dark blanket. He dropped his tools and ran home. The war had ended 3 months ago. Earth lost. Everyone knew that. The Keithrani Empire was too strong, too advanced. Their weapons turned entire cities to ash in seconds. Humanity had no choice but to surrender. Now came the price of that surrender. Tributes. The aliens wanted human servants. Tae-ho found his mother crying at the kitchen table. His younger sister, Yuna, sat beside her with a paper in her shaking hands. Her name was on the list. She had been selected. No, Tae-ho said. The word came out before he could think. Yuna looked up at him. She was only 19 years old. She wanted to be a doctor. She had studied so hard, worked so many late nights. Now some alien empire wanted to take her away to clean floors and serve food to creatures from another world. There is nothing we can do, their mother whispered. They will kill us all if we refuse. Tae-ho looked at his sister. He remembered carrying her on his back when she was small. He remembered teaching her to ride a bicycle. He remembered promising their father before he died that he would always protect the family. I will go instead, he said. You cannot, Yuna said quickly. They asked for me. They will not accept. They will. Tae-ho's voice was calm, but his heart was beating fast. I will make them accept. The selection center was a large building near the port. Hundreds of humans waited in long lines while Keithrani soldiers watched them with cold eyes. The aliens were tall, almost 2 meters. Their skin was covered in small scales that shone like metal. Their eyes were gold, with no white part at all. They moved like water, smooth and silent. Tae-ho waited for 6 hours. When his turn came, he stood before a Keithrani officer and spoke clearly. My sister was selected, Kim Yuna. I want to take her place. The officer looked at him with those strange golden eyes. Why? Because she is young. She has a future. I am just a mechanic. I have nothing special to offer this world, but I can work hard. I can serve well. Take me instead. The officer was quiet for a long moment. Then he pressed something on his tablet. Wait here. Tae-ho waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. Other humans came and went. Some cried, some begged, some were dragged away by soldiers. Tae-ho just stood there, quiet and patient. Finally, the officer returned, but he was not alone. She was the most beautiful and terrifying thing Tae-ho had ever seen. The alien woman was taller than the soldiers. Her scales were not gray like theirs, but deep purple and blue like the ocean at night. Her eyes were gold, but they seemed to glow from within. She wore armor that looked like it was made of light itself. When she walked, everyone in the room went silent. Even the Keithrani soldiers bowed their heads. This is the one. Her voice was soft, but it filled the entire room. It sounded like music and thunder mixed together. Yes, Your Majesty, the officer said. He wishes to replace his sister. The alien woman looked at Ti-Ho. He felt like her eyes could see through his skin, through his bones, into his very soul. He wanted to look away, but something made him hold her gaze for just a moment. Then he lowered his eyes and bowed his head. Interesting, she said. Most humans look at me with fear or hate. You look at me with, what? I cannot read your face. Ti-Ho did not know what to say. He stayed silent. What is your name? She asked. Park Ti-Ho, Your Majesty. And why do you wish to take your sister's place, Park Ti-Ho? Because I promised to protect her. A long time ago. I do not break my promises. The room was very quiet. Ti-Ho could hear his own heartbeat. Then the alien woman did something strange. She smiled. It was a small smile, just a tiny lift at the corners of her mouth, but it changed her whole face. I am Queen Velissa of the Keithrani Empire, she said, and I accept your offer. You will serve in my palace. Ti-Ho felt his legs go weak, but he did not fall. Thank you, Your Majesty. Do not thank me yet, she said. My palace is not a kind place for humans. Many do not survive their first year. I will survive, Ti-Ho said quietly. Queen Velissa looked at him again with those glowing eyes. We shall see. 2 days later, Ti-Ho stood in a transport ship, watching Earth grow smaller through the window. His mother had cried when he left. Yuna had held his hand and told him she would become a doctor. She would make him proud. She would find a way to bring him home. He had smiled and told her not to worry, but inside he knew the truth. He would probably never see Earth again. The journey to the Keithrani homeworld took 3 weeks. Ti-Ho spent most of that time alone in a small room. They gave him food and water, but no one spoke to him. He was just cargo to them, a tribute, a servant. When the ship finally landed, Ti-Ho stepped out into a new world. The sky was orange and pink. The air smelled sweet, like flowers he had never known. The buildings were tall and strange, made of materials that seemed to shift and change color in the light. And the palace of Queen Velissa rose above everything else, a mountain of crystal and metal that touched the clouds. Ti-Ho was taken inside and given simple clothes, a gray uniform, the clothes of a servant. Then an older Keithrani woman told him his job. You will maintain the queen's ceremonial armor, she said. It is stored in the lower armory. No one else wants this task. The armor is old and dirty. It has not been properly cleaned in many years. Ti-Ho nodded. I understand. You will not speak to the queen unless she speaks to you first. You will not look at her directly. You will not enter any room she is in unless called. Do you understand? Yes. Good. The woman looked at him with something like pity. Try not to die, human. The queen seems interested in you for some reason. That can be good or bad. We shall see which. That night Tiho found the armory. It was a large room filled with dust and shadows. The armor hung on stands like sleeping giants. Some pieces were beautiful, others were broken and forgotten. He picked up a cloth and began to clean. He did not know that Queen Velissa was watching him from the darkness above, her golden eyes following every movement of his careful hands. She did not know why she had chosen him. Something about the way he had stood there, quiet and brave. Something about the way he had spoken of his promise. Humans were supposed to be weak, simple, unimportant. But this one was different. She could feel it. And for the first time in a very long time, Queen Velissa was curious. 3 weeks passed in the palace, and Tiho fell into a simple routine. He woke early, before the orange sun rose over the crystal towers. He washed his face with cold water. He ate the plain food they gave him. Then he walked down to the armory and worked until late at night. The armor was in worse condition than anyone had told him. Years of dust had settled into every crack. Some pieces had rust. Others had strange stains that he did not want to think about. But Tiho was a mechanic. He knew how to fix things. He knew how to be patient. Every day, he chose one piece of armor and cleaned it completely. He used soft cloths and special oils he found in old cabinets. He polished metal until it shone. He repaired broken straps and replaced missing pieces. He worked slowly and carefully, treating each item like it was precious. Because to someone it once was. The other servants thought he was strange. They whispered about him in the halls. The human talks to the armor, they said. He sings to it. He is losing his mind. But Tiho was not losing his mind. He simply found comfort in the quiet work. When he cleaned the armor, he forgot that he was far from home. He forgot that his family was on a distant planet. He forgot that he was a servant, a tribute, a nobody. He just focused on making old things new again. One evening, Tiho was polishing a beautiful chest plate. It was purple and silver, decorated with patterns that looked like flowing water. He was humming a song his mother used to sing when he heard a sound behind him. He turned quickly and saw Queen Velissa standing in the doorway. His heart jumped. He dropped to one knee immediately, his eyes fixed on the stone floor. "Your Majesty," he said, "I apologize. I did not know you were there." "Stand up," she said. He stood but kept his eyes low. "Look at me," she commanded. He lifted his gaze just for a moment. She was wearing simple clothes today, not her formal robes, but she was still magnificent. Her scales caught the light from the torches and shimmered like stars. Her golden eyes seemed to see everything. Then Tiho quickly looked away again. His face felt warm. Queen Velissa walked closer. Her footsteps made no sound on the stone floor. "Why do you not look at me, human?" "It would be disrespectful, Your Majesty." Disrespectful, she sounded confused. "In my culture, avoiding eye contact means you are afraid or hiding something. Are you afraid of me?" Tiho thought about this question. "No, Your Majesty, I am not afraid." "Then you are hiding something." "No, Your Majesty, I have nothing to hide." "Then why will you not look at me?" Tiho did not know how to explain. On Earth, looking directly at someone important was considered rude. It was polite to lower your eyes. It showed respect. But how could he explain human customs to an alien queen? "In my culture," he said slowly, "looking away shows respect. It means I recognize that you are above me, that I am not your equal." Queen Velissa was silent for a long moment. Then she made a sound that might have been a laugh. "How strange! Humans are very strange creatures." "Yes, Your Majesty." She walked around him, studying him like he was one of the old armor pieces. "You have been here for 3 weeks. In that time you have not complained once. You have not tried to escape. You have not asked for better food or a better room. Why?" "There is no point in complaining," Tiho said. "I chose to come here. I must accept my situation." "But you did not choose to be a servant. You chose to save your sister. That is different." "Perhaps, but the result is the same." Queen Velissa stopped in front of him. She was very close now. He could smell something sweet, like night flowers. He could feel the warmth coming from her body. "You are different from other humans," she said quietly. "The others cry, they beg, they fight, they break, but you just work, quietly, carefully. Why?" Tiho finally looked up at her. Their eyes met for just a second before he looked away again. "Because work gives me purpose. When I am working, I am not a prisoner. I am just a man doing a job. That is enough for me." The queen did not respond. She walked past him and looked at the armor he had been cleaning. She ran her long fingers over the polished surface. "This was my mother's," she said softly. "She wore it in the Great War 200 years ago. No one has touched it since she died." "I am sorry," Tiho said. "If I should not have cleaned it, I will." "No," her voice was firm but not angry. "You did well. It has not looked this beautiful in a very long time." She turned to look at him again. "How did you learn to do this?" "I was a mechanic on Earth. I fixed machines, cars, engines. My father taught me that every object has a story. If you treat it with respect, it will serve you well." "Your father sounds wise." "He was. He died when I was young." "I am sorry." "Thank you, Your Majesty." They stood in silence for a moment. Tiho did not know what to say. He had never spoken this much to anyone in the palace. Finally, the queen spoke again. "I will come to see your work tomorrow. Continue as you have been." "Yes, your majesty." She walked toward the door, then stopped. "That song you were humming, what was it?" Tiho's face grew warm again. He had not realized she had heard him. "It is a song from my country. My mother used to sing it when I was a child. It is about someone waiting for a loved one to come home." Sing it for me." It was not a request. It was an order, but her voice was gentle. Tiho took a deep breath. His voice was rough and untrained, but he sang the simple melody. The words were in Korean, soft and sad and hopeful all at once. When he finished, the room was very quiet. "Thank you," Queen Velissa said. Her voice sounded different somehow, softer. It was beautiful. Then she was gone. That night Tiho lay in his small bed and stared at the ceiling. He did not understand what had happened. The queen of an entire empire had come to talk to him. A simple servant, a human. She had listened to him sing. She had said thank you. Nothing made sense. But for the first time since leaving Earth, Tiho did not feel completely alone. He did not know that Queen Velissa was having the same thoughts in her private chambers, high above the palace. She lay in her bed of silk and crystal and thought about the strange human with the gentle hands and the sad songs. Her advisors had told her that humans were primitive, emotional, weak. They said keeping human servants was a sign of power, nothing more. But this human, Tiho, he was not what she expected. He was quiet but not scared, humble but not broken. He treated old armor like treasure and sang songs about love and waiting. What kind of species created such creatures? Queen Velissa closed her eyes and smiled. She would visit the armory again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. She wanted to learn more about this strange, shy human who could not look her in the eyes. She wanted to understand why. For the first time in 300 years, she felt something other than boredom and loneliness. She wanted to know what made humans so different from everyone else in the galaxy. And she always got what she wanted. The visits became regular. Every evening, Queen Velissa came to the armory. She never announced herself. She simply appeared, silent as a shadow, and watched Tiho work. Sometimes she asked questions. Sometimes she just stood there in silence. Tiho grew used to her presence, but he never stopped feeling nervous around her. She was a queen. He was a servant. The distance between them was greater than the distance between stars. But she kept coming back. "Tell me about Earth," she said one night. Tiho paused his work. He was fixing a broken clasp on an old helmet. "What would you like to know, Your Majesty?" "Everything. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What do humans do there?" So Tiho told her. He described the blue oceans and the green mountains. He talked about cities filled with millions of people, all living together in small spaces. He explained how humans grew food from the ground and raised animals for meat. He told her about rain and snow and sunshine. Queen Velissa listened with her head tilted, her golden eyes wide. "Oh, you miss it," she said. "It was not a question." "Yes, every day." "Yet you stay here. You do not try to escape. Other humans have tried. They never succeed, but they try. Why do you not?" Tiho set down the helmet. "If I escape, what happens to my sister?" "She would be taken in your place." "Then I cannot escape. My freedom is not worth more than her life." The queen was silent for a long time. Then she did something that surprised him. She sat down on an old wooden crate like a common person instead of royalty. "I do not understand this," she said quietly. "In my culture, survival is everything. The strong live, the weak die. If someone threatens your life, you fight or you run. You do not sacrifice yourself for another." "That is not how humans think," Tiho said. "We believe that some things are more important than our own lives. Family, love, honor. These things matter more than survival." "But why? When you die, you have nothing, you feel nothing. You are simply gone." Tiho thought about this. "Perhaps, but the people we love are still alive, and they remember us. Our sacrifice gives their lives meaning. It shows them that they were worth dying for." Queen Velissa stared at him. Her face showed an emotion he could not read. Confusion, wonder. He did not know. "Tell me more about your sister," she said. So he did. He told her about Yuna's dream of becoming a doctor. He described her smile, her laugh, the way she worked late into the night studying medical books. He talked about the day she got accepted into university and how their mother cried with happiness. "She sounds remarkable," the queen said. "She is. She will do great things someday. I know it." "And you gave up your freedom so she could have this chance." "Yes, even though you may never see her again." Tiho felt a pain in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. "Yes." The queen stood up and walked toward him. She moved slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal she did not want to scare. She stopped very close to him, closer than she had ever been before. "Look at me," she said softly. Tiho raised his eyes. Her face was just a few inches from his. He could see every detail of her scales, every flicker of light in her golden eyes. She was beautiful in a way that was almost painful. "Why are you so shy, human?" she murmured. His heart was beating so fast he was sure she could hear it. His face felt hot. His hands trembled slightly at his sides. I do not know how to act around someone like you, Your Majesty." "Someone like me." "Someone beautiful and terrifying at the same time." The words came out before he could stop them. Tiho immediately looked down, horrified at what he had said. He had insulted the queen. He had called her terrifying. She would have him killed. She would. Beautiful, she repeated. Her voice was strange, soft, almost confused. You think I am beautiful? Yes, Your Majesty, forgive me. I spoke without thinking. I do not apologize. Her hand reached out and touched his chin, lifting his face so he had to look at her. Her touch was warm and gentle. No one has ever called me beautiful before. Tiho blinked. That cannot be true. It is. They call me powerful, magnificent, deadly, but never beautiful. That word. It means something different for humans, does it not? It means something that gives you joy just by looking at it, Tiho said quietly. Something that makes your heart feel full. Something you want to protect, even if you know you cannot. Queen Velissa's eyes widened slightly. Her hand was still on his chin. Neither of them moved. And you feel this way when you look at me. Tiho knew he should lie. He should say no, say he misspoke, say anything to protect himself. But he was not good at lying. He never had been. Yes, he whispered, I do. The queen dropped her hand and stepped back. For a moment, she just looked at him with an expression he could not understand. Then she turned and walked toward the door. Tiho thought she was angry. He thought she was disgusted. He prepared himself for guards to come and drag him away. But at the door she stopped. Tomorrow, she said without turning around, you will eat dinner with me, in my private chambers. Do not be late. Then she was gone. Tiho stood alone in the armory, his heart still racing. He did not understand what had just happened. The most powerful woman in the galaxy had touched his face. She had asked him personal questions. She had invited him to dinner. Nothing made sense. But somewhere deep inside him, in a place he had kept locked since leaving Earth, something warm began to grow. Something that felt like hope. He did not dare call it anything else. Not yet. Far above, in her private chambers, Queen Velissa stood at her window and looked out at the stars. Her heart was doing something strange. It was beating faster than normal. Her scales felt warm. She had ruled this empire for 3 centuries. She had defeated enemies. She had conquered planets. She had watched her parents die and her friends betray her. Nothing had ever made her feel the way this simple human made her feel. He thought she was beautiful. Not powerful, not dangerous, beautiful. Like something worth protecting. She touched her own face where she had touched his chin. Her hand was trembling. What are you doing to me, Park Tiho? She whispered to the empty room. The stars gave no answer. But for the first time in a very long time, Queen Velissa did not feel alone. The dinner changed everything. Tiho arrived at the queen's chambers wearing his cleanest servant clothes. His hands were shaking. He had never been inside the royal quarters before. He had never eaten with anyone important in his entire life. A guard opened the door, and Tiho stepped inside. The room was larger than his entire house back on Earth. Crystal walls let in the light of 3 moons. Soft fabric covered the floors. In the center was a small table with 2 chairs, set with food and drinks that Tiho did not recognize. Queen Velissa was already seated. She wore a simple gown of dark blue that matched her scales. She looked less like a queen tonight and more like an ordinary woman. If an ordinary woman could be 8 feet tall, with golden eyes that glowed in the dark. "Sit," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her. Tiho sat. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might break. "Eat," she said. "The food is safe for humans, I made sure." They ate in silence for a while. The food was strange but delicious. Sweet and spicy and unlike anything Tiho had ever tasted. The queen watched him eat, a small smile on her face. "Tell me about human relationships," she said suddenly. Tiho nearly choked on his food. "Your Majesty." "Relationships, love, marriage. How do humans choose their partners?" Tiho wiped his mouth with a cloth napkin. "It is different for everyone. Some people choose partners based on family arrangements. Some choose based on wealth or status. But most people choose based on feeling." A feeling. Love, when you meet someone and your heart beats faster. When you think about them all the time. When their happiness becomes more important than your own. That is love. The queen leaned forward slightly. "And this feeling, it just happens. You cannot control it." "No, Your Majesty, you cannot control it. It just arrives like rain. You can prepare for it, but you cannot stop it." "How strange," she murmured. "In Kithrani culture, partnerships are arranged for political reasons. Love is considered a weakness, a distraction from duty." "That sounds lonely," Tiho said quietly. The queen's eyes met his. For a moment, she looked not like a powerful ruler, but like a sad and tired woman. "It is," she admitted, "very lonely." After that night, everything changed. The queen began requesting Tiho's presence at official events. She claimed she needed her armor-bearer nearby at all times. The court whispered and gossiped, but no one dared question their queen openly. Tiho walked beside her in grand halls. He stood behind her throne during meetings. He learned the names of generals and ambassadors and rival lords. He saw how she ruled with strength and wisdom, how she made difficult decisions without hesitation. But he also saw the moments when her mask slipped, the tired sighs when no one was watching, the way her shoulders dropped when she returned to her chambers, the loneliness that lived behind her golden eyes. He started leaving small things for her to find. A polished stone from Earth he had kept in his pocket, a flower he found in the palace garden, a note with a simple drawing of a sunrise. She never mentioned these gifts, but she kept every single one. Months passed. The cold distance between queen and servant became something warmer, something neither of them could name. Then came the night of the harvest ceremony. It was the biggest celebration of the year. Thousands of Keithrani gathered in the grand hall to honor their queen. Tiho stood in his usual place behind the throne, watching the colorful dancers and listening to the strange music. He did not see the assassin until it was too late. The figure came from the crowd, moving fast and silent. In their hand was a blade that glowed with deadly energy. They were aiming straight for the queen's heart. Tiho did not think. He just moved. His body slammed into the queen, pushing her aside just as the blade came down. The weapon meant for her chest cut deep into his back instead. Pain exploded through his body like fire. He heard screaming, maybe his own, maybe someone else's. Then darkness. When Tiho woke up, he was in a soft bed in a bright room. His back burned with pain, but he was alive. Somehow he was alive. Queen Velissa sat beside his bed. Her eyes were red. Her scales looked dull. She had been crying. "You are awake," she said. Her voice shook. "Your Majesty." Tiho tried to sit up, but pain forced him back down. "What happened? Are you hurt?" "Am I hurt?" She made a sound between a laugh and a sob. "You stupid, brave, impossible human. You nearly died. The blade had poison. My doctors worked for 3 days to save you. 3 days you were between life and death. And you ask if I am hurt." Tiho blinked. 3 days. "I never left this room." She reached out and took his hand. Her touch was warm, her fingers trembled. "I could not leave. I could not bear the thought of you dying alone." "Why?" Tiho whispered. "Because you saved my life. You threw yourself in front of a blade meant for me. A servant, a human. Why would you do such a thing?" Tiho looked at her. She was beautiful even now, with her tired eyes and trembling hands. Beautiful and terrifying and wonderful. "Because you were in danger," he said simply. "I did not think, I just moved." "But you could have died." "Yes." "You almost did die." "Yes." "And you do not regret it." Tiho squeezed her hand gently. "No, Your Majesty, I do not regret it." Queen Velissa stared at him. Tears ran down her face, leaving wet trails on her scales. "I do not understand humans. I do not understand how you can love so completely, how you can sacrifice so easily, how you can look at death and choose someone else's life over your own." "It is not a choice," Tiho said softly. "It is just what we are. We feel first and think later. Sometimes that destroys us, but sometimes it saves us. The queen leaned forward. She pressed her forehead against his, a gesture of deep intimacy in Keithrani culture. Her skin was warm against his. "You have changed me, Park Tiho," she whispered. "You have shown me what I was missing, what my entire species has forgotten, the power of loving someone more than yourself." "Is that a good thing?" he asked. She pulled back and smiled through her tears. It was the most beautiful smile he had ever seen. "I do not know yet," she admitted, "but I want to find out with you, if you will stay with me." Tiho felt tears forming in his own eyes. "I will stay, Your Majesty, for as long as you want me." "Call me Velissa," she said. "When we are alone, call me Velissa." "Velissa," he whispered. She leaned down and pressed her lips to his forehead. It was gentle and warm and full of promise. "Rest now," she said. "We have much to discuss when you are strong again. I am going to change everything for your people, starting with you." Tiho closed his eyes, her hand still holding his. For the first time since leaving Earth, he felt like he was home. The news spread through the empire like wildfire. Queen Velissa had taken a human consort, not just any human, a servant, a tribute, a man who had nearly died saving her life. The council was furious. "This is madness," Lord Dreven shouted in the emergency meeting. His gray scales were dark with anger. "A queen cannot bond with a lesser species. It violates every tradition we have." "He must be executed," Lady Mora agreed, "before this disease spreads further." "Disease," Queen Velissa's voice was cold and calm. She sat on her throne, back straight, eyes glowing with dangerous light. "You call love a disease." "Love," Lord Dreven spat the word like poison. "A queen does not love. A queen rules. A queen conquers. A queen does not waste her time with weak, emotional creatures from a defeated planet." "That weak creature saved my life." Velissa's voice dropped to a whisper, but it filled the entire room. "He threw himself in front of a blade meant for my heart. He nearly died protecting me. Can any of you say the same?" A silence. "I thought not." The queen stood. She was taller than all of them, and in that moment she looked like a goddess of war. "For 300 years I have ruled this empire. I have given you victory after victory. I have made us the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. And in all that time, not one of you has ever looked at me and seen anything but a tool, a weapon, a throne to be used." She walked down from her platform, her footsteps echoing in the silent hall. "But this human, this simple man from a simple planet," he looked at me and saw something else. He saw someone beautiful, someone worth dying for, not because of my power, not because of my position, just because of who I am. Lady Mora shook her head. "This is sentiment, weakness. The other empires will see this and think us soft. Then let them come. Velissa's smile was sharp as a blade. Let them test us. They will learn what I have learned. That love is not weakness. Love is the greatest strength in the universe. It makes you fight harder. It makes you survive longer. It makes you willing to sacrifice everything. She turned to face all of them. I am calling a session of the Galactic Assembly. I am proposing a new treaty with Earth. Humanity will no longer be a conquered species. They will be our allies. The Assembly will never agree, Lord Dreven said. They will when I tell them what I have discovered. Velissa's eyes gleamed. Humans are not weak. They are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because of their weapons or their technology, but because of their hearts. They love without limits. They sacrifice without thought. They will die for strangers and kill for family. Any empire that has humans as enemies will fall. Any empire that has humans as friends will stand forever. The assembly met on the neutral station between the great empires. Representatives from 100 worlds gathered in the massive hall. In the center, Queen Velissa stood alone. No, not alone. Tiho stood beside her. He wore simple clothes, not royal robes. He was still healing, still weak. But he stood straight and proud, his hand in hers. I call this assembly to witness a change in galactic law, Velissa announced. The human species has been classified as a servant race for 10 years. Today, I propose we change that classification. Murmurs filled the hall. The representative from the Vorn Collective laughed openly. Change it to what? He mocked. Partners, equals, they lost the war. They have no fleet, no weapons, no power. What possible value could they have? Let me show you. Velissa turned to Tiho. Tell them why you saved me. Tiho looked out at the sea of alien faces. He was terrified. His heart was beating so fast it hurt. But Velissa squeezed his hand and he found his voice. I saved her because she was in danger, he said simply. I did not think about whether it was smart. I did not calculate my chances of survival. I did not consider the political implications. I just saw someone I cared about in danger and I moved. Why? The Vorn representative demanded. Why would you risk your life for an alien queen who conquered your planet? Because she is not just a queen to me, Tiho said. She is a person who was lonely and tired and searching for something real. She found that in me. I found it in her. And when you find something real in this universe, you protect it, no matter what it costs. The hall was silent. Velissa spoke again. This is what humans are. They do not calculate, they feel, they love, they sacrifice. Every species in this galaxy has forgotten what that means. We have become so focused on power and conquest that we have lost the thing that makes life worth living. She lifted Tiho's hand, showing their joined fingers to the entire assembly. This human taught me that strength is not dominance. It is the courage to protect what you love, even when you are afraid, even when you are small, even when you are shy. She looked at Ti-Ho with soft eyes. Humans are the future of this galaxy, not because they will conquer us, but because they will remind us what we have forgotten. They will teach us to feel again. The vote took 3 days. There was argument and debate and anger and disbelief. But in the end, the treaty passed. Humanity was no longer a servant race. They were allies, partners, equals. When the announcement reached Earth, people cried in the streets. Families who had been separated were reunited. Tributes who had been taken came home. A new era had begun. But Ti-Ho did not go home. He stood on the balcony of the palace, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning in its little corner of the galaxy. Yuna was probably at the hospital right now, starting her first day as a real doctor. His mother was probably cooking dinner, listening to the news, crying happy tears. He missed them. He would always miss them. But he was where he needed to be. You never answered my question. He turned. Velissa stood behind him, her scales shimmering in the moonlight. She was smiling that rare, beautiful smile that he had come to love. What question? She walked closer until they were standing face to face. She was taller than him, but somehow it did not feel like she was looking down at him anymore. Why are you so shy? Ti-Ho laughed softly. I am not shy anymore. You cured me of that. Then what are you? He reached up and touched her face, tracing the patterns of her scales with gentle fingers. I am careful, careful with things that matter. Velissa leaned into his touch. Then be careful with me, Park Ti-Ho of Earth. Always, he promised, for the rest of my life. She kissed him then, under the light of 3 moons, at the beginning of a new age. Far away on a small blue planet, Yuna sat in her new office and opened a message from her brother. It was short, just a few words on a screen. I am safe, I am happy, I am staying. And Yuna, I think I am in love with a queen. She laughed until she cried. Then she pressed her hand against the screen, against the impossible words, against the future none of them could have imagined. Only you, brother, she whispered. Only you could save the whole galaxy while polishing armor. Somewhere across the stars, Ti-Ho felt something warm in his chest. He did not know that his sister was thinking of him at that exact moment, but somehow he knew she was proud. He held Velissa close and watched the stars turn slowly overhead. He had come to this place as a tribute, a servant, a nobody. He was leaving it as something else entirely. A husband, a hero, a bridge between worlds. And all because he was too shy to look a queen in the eyes. Sometimes the universe has a strange sense of humor. But sometimes, that humor becomes the most beautiful love story the galaxy has ever known.